Welcome to Por Eso and Just Because with Marisol. Today's episode, I have a guest, Kevin. Kevin is here today to tell us his story about struggling through depression, anxiety, and even suicidal thoughts. Thank you for being here. Ching ching.
Ching ching. Thank you for having me.
I want to say thank you for being here with us today at Por Eso and Just Because. I know that you're here today to tell your story, a story that you really want people to know. And the reason that you want to expose that information is because you don't want people to go through or perhaps know how to deal with the situation that you went through. And we're going to talk today, we're going to talk about depression, anxiety, suicidal thoughts, and all that stuff. But first of all, I want to say thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, great. So, Kevin, I want you to tell me a little bit about you.
Let's see. Good afternoon. Who is Kevin? Kevin is someone who's very gay, first and foremost. We're always proud of where we come from. Joyful. The life of the party. I'm someone who's been through a lot, and I like to think that if there's always something positive out of every story that one can get, as negative as the experience could be, we always have to look for the positive. And I'm just here to share my story.
How old are you today?
27.
Oh, good looking.
She's old. Thank you.
Yes, you're so handsome.
Still single.
Let's talk a little bit about you. You're so funny. Well, even though we're going to talk about your story, the process, your whole what you went through, but also we want to make this a little fun because you're such a funny guy.
Say it one more time.
You're so funny.
Okay, I wasn't sure.
Yes. So let's talk about how was your adolescence, like your early age. Did you when you were in high school? What did you do? Were you a happy kid?
From my memory, from what I can remember, looking back at high school, I would like to say I had a great high school experience. I had the experience I'd always wanted. I knew I wanted to be a cheerleader, and she did that. The first male cheerleader in Passaic High School. Not that it's something to be proud of, but it's something, not that to like the Passaic standard. It's bigger than that. It's the fact that I was a male in a city like Passaic. Because back when I was cheering, there wasn't any male cheerleaders on other teams. And just last week, I went to, my cousin had like an award ceremony, and just to see all the athletes that she's shown me, because she's a cheerleader now, thanks to me, shout outs to me. Like Clifton has male cheerleaders now. Passaic High School, at one point last season, we had more males than we had females. And I like to say it's because of me, because it is. I was on the homecoming corps, I was in prom, did every club known to man. I just wanted everyone to like me, and I want to say everyone did like me for the most part. But high school was typical. I didn't have any really the standard gay issues in high school. I want to say because of my size, I could defend myself. But high school was typical for me.
Great. Okay. Did you have a father figure in your life?
Yeah. I've had my dad in my life since the day I was born. We're still really close to this day. Grateful for that. Love that man. Shout out to Dad.
Good. Okay. So dad was always there for you. Dad was always there. When you came out as telling your dad, first of all, did your father always knew you were gay? Or it's something that you had to come out and sit down with him and let him know your preference, your sexual preference?
I've never had that conversation with him. I want to say anyone who has two eyes would know before I did, definitely. Like my mom, I know she told me at one point that she knew before I knew. All my aunts have told me, but I've never had the discussion with any male figure in my family, actually. They've just always loved me for me, and it's never been a topic.
That's awesome. So you were accepted by your surrounding, by your loved ones.
Most of them, yeah.
Great. Let's talk about your mother.
Tea,
Okay. Um,
work.
who is your mom? What does she mean to you?
Now, in this stage of my life, nothing really. Um, but there were stages in my life where like my mom was like, I idolized her. I was like, she's the most beautiful woman there is. I was like, oh, my mom is stunning. Like anything that my mom wants, I gotta make that lady happy. Um, and as I got older, I realized she's a great people person, but not a great, at least to me, I can only speak for myself. I mean, I do have another sibling, but anyhow, I'm on this podcast, not her. She wasn't a great mom. She was more of like a great, she's like cool, she's a cool aunt. That's what she was. Now looking back at it, I realized I was idolizing her because she was my mom, and people were like, oh, you have to love your mom. So I'm looking at her in the way that I'm being told to look at a mother figure. But once I grew up and I was getting older and I had my own point of view, I was like, wait, she's not all that, guys. Yeah, you're hyping her up a little too much. And then the older I got, I was just like, yeah, this isn't the tea. I think. Can I share a story?
Of course you
The
can.
turning point where I was like, we gotta go. My 18th birthday, I received a text message. At this point, me and her went really cool. Like by 18, I was like, I knew I didn't like her as a person. She was my mom, but as an individual, I was like, I have no respect for this person. I received a text message from her. Rooms are next to each other. I'm thinking it's gonna be like a petty happy birthday text, and I was like, hey, you have till the end of the month to save up. You need to leave. Period.
You need to leave
Period.
the house
Yeah. You have
the day of
conversation
your
today.
birthday, 18th birthday.
The first thing that came to mind was work. Literally, I remember it like it happened yesterday. I was like, work. February is literally the shortest month. Like, if anything, you couldn't tell me in like these. You chose. I was just like, okay, so it wasn't even the fact that she told me that. It was like, it's the 16th. You want me to somehow pull out all this money out of my 18-year-old ass to find a place to stay the 16th when the end of the month is literally less than 2 weeks away. Me thinking, which is crazy to think that I was thinking that way and I didn't address the text message itself. But I just screenshotted it, sent it to my dad. Everyone reacted like they usually react. And after that, I was like, yeah, this isn't the tea for me.
But Kevin, okay, I'm listening to you telling us here that your mom, the day of your birthday, your 18th birthday, she sent you a text where you were next door, next room. Um, but why? Like, what happened that she wanted you out when you were idolizing this woman? She was, even though you believed at some point that she was not your best friend, but at the end of the day is your mother. So why, what did you approach her? Did you confronted her? Why are you telling me to leave?
The relationship at that point had gotten to the point where I had to stay with her. I don't remember what was the reasoning behind. I had came back from Pennsylvania. Oh, because it was a living situation. I had no choice but to stay with her. Because of the way that my dad's living situation, he couldn't help me. I would come home, literally just not address her. Like, I have this thing where if I don't like your energy, I'm just walk in the room, pretend like if there's 7 people in here and I don't like 3 of them, there's only 4 people in here. I'm not sure if that was correct math, but you know what I'm saying.
Yes.
So I was literally just living a day-to-day life, not interacting. And then that text message came. Like, I was trying to remember, was there something that happened the night before or even the day after? Nothing had changed. It just came out of the blue.
So she just wanted you out.
Yeah. I mean, there's tea behind that. But I put pieces together, but I never followed up with anyone to confirm it. But I think I have an idea of why that was put on me.
Okay.
And didn't happen once, but happened twice. I'm dumb for letting it happen the second time. But I should have trusted my intuition.
Was she did she always accepted you as you being gay and that was not the issue?
I thought she was gonna be the first person to be really accepting about it because she would always go on like these rants about like her high school best friend being gay, who ironically actually saw at the supermarket yesterday. I actually rung him up and he was like, "Oh my god, you look great," and I was like, "Hey, how are you?" Where was I going? Oh yeah, so she has this gay best friend, and in my head, I've grown up always seeing him every so often, and she's like, yeah, she's like the T, the Kiki. So I'm like, oh, my mom's gonna be like my good Judy, biggest hater. I was like,
Wow.
biggest hater. Like, you would have thought I killed
Mm-hmm.
her mom. You would have thought I killed my grandmother. The way she was crying and bawling, I was like, which made me naturally bawl and cry because if I could see Susie Lucci from down the street cry, and I just automatically, I'm just an emotional person, so I'll
Yeah.
cry for that. So it wasn't that I was sad that she was crying. Anyone could have been crying, I would have cried. But it was like, how are you? Why? What's the double standard here, Mary? Like, I don't get it. Um, Now, like, I guess she's accepting that. Honestly, I couldn't care less.
So we're here tonight or today to talk about the what you went through, and what you went through was you really went through a crisis. At what age did you discovered or did you realize that you were not okay? Something was wrong with you.
When I knew I had a problem, because there's always like, oh, maybe I'm just like everyone else. Everyone has like their little issues. Um, there was a night when I was living in Florida where stuff happened, and at the end of the night, I had to be admitted into a psych ward for 3 days, which is weird. That full circle moment. The person, well, one of the people that had called to send 911 to my apartment was actually Crystal.
Crystal is my daughter.
hmm The Snapchat, I forgot. Someone brought it up to me. I don't really remember, but at one point, Crystal had asked someone what my address was. And from Jersey, she called 911 and she sent it to Florida.
Okay, so that at that point, you end up being institutionalized.
I tried to take my life.
You try suicidal.
hmm
Why? Why? What happened? What went through your mind that you end up trying to no longer be here and take your life away?
What was it? I blocked it so hard that I literally can't even remember what was the trigger. But I'm sure it was a combination of like just being homesick and alone and struggling um, with finding who I was, finding myself. I didn't know what I wanted to do with my life. The added on of like being just extremely overweight and having those burdens on me. It was just a lot. I think it was a combination of all of it. I was just like, it'd just be easier.
Were you were going through all this unhappiness? You were not accepting yourself, or it was more because you were overweight, or um, mom wasn't there for you, that she was neglecting you at one point. You felt that that was your trigger point.
A little of everything, for sure, for sure. I mean, there were days where wow, I really did get pretty deep. There were days where I would remember just going to work, doing the motions, walking home, and just going straight to bed, like not interacting with my roommates. And I did that for weeks actually at hand, like to the point where people were getting worried. And I was like, no, I'm just tired. I was generally just tired.
Yeah.
Um, but then when I started to think, I was like, wait, this low key isn't normal.
Let's talk a little bit about depression, and let's educate. And this is the whole idea of this podcast today. Let's educate people as to in the event that you find yourself thinking that you're going through depression. Perhaps um, myself, sometimes I feel like, am I sad or am I depressed? So, what are the signs and symptoms that you can address in the event that someone is listening to this podcast and is going through something like this?
That was one of the topics I wanted to bring up here, because I know in the Dominican culture, at least the one that I'm familiar with,
Mm-hmm.
and Latin culture in general, they're very, no sé cómo decirlo. I can't believe I got this in Spanish, girl. I'm so into this.
Dilo en
Um,
español.
que como son duros.
Yo diría que la comunidad latina y más el dominicano es ignorante.
Say it again.
Ignorancia, que no entiende lo que es, por ejemplo, se entiende que cuando un hijo, un familiar le dice a otra familia, mira, yo no me siento bien, yo me siento depresión, yo siento como que me siento triste, no quiero bañarme, no quiero, ay, esas son vainas tuyas, esas son rastrería tuya.
That's
Entonces,
racist.
eso es lo que pasa, que en la comunidad, más en la cultura de nosotros, el latino, lamentablemente no se enfoca mucho en eso. Y hay mucho lo que se le llama denial. ¿Qué tú crees que pasó contigo? Eso, no, o sea, no lo que pasó contigo, porque ya hablamos de ti, pero yo lo que quiero es que tú más o menos hables de los síntomas, de los signos que tú puedes ver en una gente el que estén escuchando hoy, que estén viendo, escuchando este podcast y diga, pero ven acá, yo estoy escuchando a Kevin, pero yo quizá estoy sintiéndome depresiva. Eso es una enfermedad.
No, yeah, like it's for sure if you just sat out of nowhere, that's definitely one of the signs of
Let me have a
depression.
tissue.
It's more so because I'm looking at the setup of picturing someone else who's in my situation. They're like, okay, I'm sad, and they're gonna go and talk to like their cousin or la mamá de ellos, and they're gonna tell them, yeah, get up. And I'm like, that's exactly what's gonna start the snowball effect. If they can even come to their own family for support because they keep addressing this like it's not really important when it's extremely important. It's like I think that's the only reason why I was able to be where I am today, and with my dad's support also, because it's important to know where you're coming from like your roots, um, but it's okay to deviate from that because no one else in my family really understands my depression. What it is to just be like randomly sad. They're better with it now, and that's important. Like if someone's coming up to you, you're not gonna know what to do because you're not a psychologist. But don't dismiss their feelings because everyone's feelings are valid, and you can be sad for no reason. That's reason enough. But it starts with talking to someone who's gonna listen to what you're saying and encourage you to keep talking about it. Eventually, finding a professional or whatever road you need to get to better yourself, like I did. Um, but the whole Dominican culture of them just dismissing that, if these kids can't break free from that, it's not gonna help them in the long run. So I really just, if anything, I want like the family members and the older generation, like la tia mia, lo tio mio, to really like listen to what you're saying to these kids. Because I remember like having conversations with like family members as a kid, and they would dismiss something, whether it was small to them, but I still remember the interaction where I was like, oh well, yeah, I can't do this because Tia Graciela said in 2001 on Christmas Day, don't do that.
Okay. Um, I just want you to talk about how you overcome all this situation. First of all, how many suicidal attempts did you had?
That I try to go through
Yes.
two.
Can you talk a little bit about it?
Yeah, the first one I tried to. The first one was weird. The first one I knew. I woke up that morning. I was like, oh, I'm gonna go to work today. I'm gonna get my shift done. I'm gonna go across the street. I'm gonna go to Walgreens. I'm gonna buy what I need to buy to do what I need to do. And I'm talking to everyone like it's normal. And
But you, in your mind, you woke up knowing what you were gonna do.
I was like, oh, I'm gonna go do this 9 to 3. Go to the across the street, buy what I need to go back home, and
Do what you gotta
give them a
do.
show. That's so toxic. Oh my god. I wish I can talk to my younger self and say, don't do that.
Yeah, I was gonna ask you that question. What would you tell your young self if going through this? Um, and here you are. You did your first attempt, and thank God, Crystal, who is my daughter, help out. We have a fly here. Uh, help you out and send someone for your help, and that's great to have friends like that. And I'm pretty sure she was not here. She was on the other side, in another country when this happened. But here you are now. You doing this the second time. How? What happened?
The second time was weird. The second time, I just woke up. I was off that day, and I was like, oh, I think I'm just gonna like go for a jog when I wake up in the night before. I'm like, oh, I'm just gonna go and do like a workout or something. And I woke up, and the first thing that came to mind was like, no, we're gonna try it again. Yeah, and this time it was
But were you depressed? Were you sad? Were you upset at someone?
I think I was just so into my depression that I thought it was normal. Cause to me, I can tell you from the way I remembered it, I just remember it me just nonchalantly saying stuff. Um, but I'm sure from the other side it sounded ridiculous. But to me, I was just like, oh, this is normal to me. I'm sure I looked like I hated life. I usually do. That's just my face. Um, but yeah, I woke up and I was like, you know what? We're just gonna jump in this pool. We had a pool in the backyard. This was This was last year in January. I was like, oh, we're
So
just
this is recently.
yeah. This is when I had my turning point. This is where I was like, ooh, maybe we need a. That's me walking backwards. Um, I was like, I'm gonna go jump in the pool, and drown. Was that too much? I'm keeping it real.
Just
Um,
talk about it.
and the way that the house was set up, we had two bathrooms. Kay, my roommate, and my roommate best friend, she had the master's room on the opposite side of the house with the bathroom there attached. Me and my other roommate, Chris, our rooms were across from each other, and we had a bathroom that we had to walk out and connect. And our bathroom just happened to have a door into the backyard that led to the pool. So I go up, I get up, I open my door, I walk around, go through the bathroom, and I'm like, oh, there it is. Ready to just, literally, like, the second I woke up to the point that I got to the pool, it might have been, like, not even 30 seconds. I was like, let's just do it. I walk up, ready to jump, and I see, I think it was like a bunny or like a ground. I want to say a bunny, and it was weird. I was like, that's kind of because I'm someone who also believes in like signs and coincidence aren't just coincidences. Um, and we've never had anything in this pool before, and I've been here for almost a year and a half. And the fact that the day that I wanted to do this, there happened to be something beat me to it, so to speak. And I was like, maybe I should see my family. So then I turned around, booked a flight for that same day. I think it was like 8:30, and I booked a flight for 4 o'clock, and I was in Jersey by like 6. Cause I was like, I took that as a sign to maybe you don't have to do this.
Do you talked about it to some? Do you tell someone what you wanted to do?
Not in that moment. No, I think I might have told Kay maybe like a month after.
Were you on the medication?
No, I've never been on medication.
So you what's your diagnosis, as if you can address that?
The doctor at sorry, that's I wasn't laughing at that. I was laughing at something else. Um, at the medical center, gave me severe depression and anxiety.
Okay.
Gave me my papers. Literally, the day I got released, he gave me my what looked like a book, honestly, of like just my stuff, and then he gave me two prescriptions. And he was like, "Yeah, just go ahead and get them." And I think I threw them out that same day because medication to me, like I'm not that I'm not against it, but I'd rather just not do it. It's not my first go to. Like I'd rather just figure it out naturally, if anything.
But perhaps do you believe that you have some chemical imbalance?
It might have been. I truly
And
believed it.
did you overcome all that?
With I want to say when it came to changing everything in my life, physically, mentally, like food wise, because I've noticed that MSG weird, Chinese food. MSG literally gives me nightmares every time I have it. Um, so I know my body's like really sensitive to non-natural products like that. So I started changing my diet, which helped with the weight loss, and I've noticed that I've just been more sane altogether,
Mm-hmm.
and it's been helping like ever since then. I haven't had depressing thoughts. Like before I used to I can be watching a happy movie and I'd be like, I'll slit my wrist tomorrow. Or just like negative thoughts will come to me whether I want them or not. Um, but not anymore. I haven't had one in a while. Like I'm trying to think about the last time I've had one, and it was probably before that.
So you don't see no therapist, no psychologist, no
Mm-mm.
psychiatrist, nothing.
No, man.
You're just dealing with this as you go.
Yeah. Besides the doctors that I saw when I was admitted, I personally haven't seeked out help. Yeah, I want to. Um, I was actually looking into it soon because I just got insurance,
Good.
but that was the main reason why I was looking.
And I believe that therapy, it's always therapy is good to have a couple of therapy is it's always a great thing. Someone that doesn't know you, somebody that you're telling your problems or your thoughts and whatever it is, right? And you sit with the person doesn't know you, but he's listening or she's listening to you. And you know, as you know, you've been through so much. You have so many I will call it mental issues, right?
Mental
Yeah,
struggles.
yeah, a lot of struggles, right? Um, I highly suggest as a friend that perhaps you need to seek help, because we try to deal with the situation, and you're strong, and I'm happy. And but one of my question is, currently, what are you doing for you not to fall back into what you were before? Because right now, I see you're looking great. You lost so much weight. And we're going to talk about that in a few. But what are you doing to maintain, to keep yourself occupied, to not fall back into that depression, into that anxiety? Because I believe that that's something on a daily thing. You know, things doesn't go as we planned, and things might just
Life happens.
go crazy on the one day. And how are you going to handle that?
I haven't thought about that when it does flip. If it does flip, which I
Mm-hmm.
don't think it will. But I just take it day by day. I just try to do whatever makes me happy.
What did you find? You find any drive, any motivation to keep you going in a positive way?
To not become a statistic, I don't know. I've always wanted to be an influence. Um, and when the weight started coming off, that was something that started the wheels.
Mm-hmm.
People were like, "Oh my God, I'm so inspired by you," which is what I've always wanted. So I was like, "Wait, people were listening. People care what I have to say." So then that led into like other branches of just me being a happier person because I'm like, okay, I'm making a difference and that's what I want to do. So the more that I do what I like to do, I've noticed that the more happier I am. But as to like maintaining it, I wouldn't even say that I'm really doing that. I would just say that that's just who I am now.
So you're a happier person.
Yeah, I mean, like I still want to see a therapist to like maybe there's like just to make sure it's like actually like we're cleared.
Yes.
Um, but yeah, like I wouldn't say I'm depressed. I'm severely depressed anyway. But yeah,
So you still feel depressed at sometimes?
N- not that I've noticed. Oh,
Okay, good,
yeah,
and that's great. And I know that you're very busy with work,
she's booked and busy.
so work is good. Work is good, and I know that I'm pretty sure you're out there. You're so young, and having friends that keep you happy and occupied, and take that negative thoughts, not to come back.
And I'm with my family.
So you're with your family now.
Yeah, which I've completely disregarded them because it's so like natural to me. But I've also noticed that I'm a family. Like I love being with my family, and
Mm-hmm.
now that I literally live with them,
So you have
um,
more support from your family
that
now.
part. I mean, we will like dig at each other because that's just what we do. But like that's our love language. So I think they definitely have an influence on that. Because I came back home with the idea
Mm-hmm.
when I did book the flight. Because I thought maybe I just need my family. And I was like, well, while I'm here, I can like finish and get my life together. Because I was a smart kid in high school. But one thing about me, I will do what I want to do when I want to do it. Um, and school just wasn't the tea. Like I stressed myself so much in high school that when I was like, oh wait, I have to do this for 12 more years. I was like, no, I need a break, guys. Let me. And then the whole text message on my birthday came, so that ended up with me moving to Florida, which was the greatest decision of my life. Um, but wrapping back around, coming back home, I want to finish school. I want to get a few things done that I have incomplete that I should get done, like a degree, um, before I'm ready to move on to the next stage of my life.
Okay. Did you have a partner in your life?
No, but we're looking.
Good. So what type of person would you like to have in your life?
Watching Mabelli's episode last night, when that question, her identification came up, I've always, and I want to say that I am just like a regular homosexual male, but she brought up the term pansexual, and I was like, eh. Um, Because when people are like, what's your type? I don't think I have a type. I just like someone that makes me happy. Very Mabelli. Very pansexual, but I guess I'm like a male pansexual. Or maybe this is my second coming out and I'm
Are
coming
you a
out.
drag? Yours?
Um, I want to. I'm pretty, but that's
Yes.
not drag.
But I seen your profile and your social media. Your makeup, it's stunning, and
Kevin with two N's, so there were two E's.
yes. So that person. So you consider yourself a pansexual?
Now, yeah. Not really saying it out loud to someone else, because you like have these
Yes.
conversations, but they're in your head. I might be definitely pansexual, but I definitely lean more towards like the masculine side. Just because maybe because it's just too early, or
No, you're still
maybe that's just
young.
what it is.
Yeah. And do you feel like you're recovering? Like it's the new Kevin.
That's a good question. I always, and this might sound weird or conceited, but this is always how I thought I was presenting myself to people. So I was carrying this personality, this energy, with 330 pounds, and I was like, why? Where are the boys? Like me holding all these milkshakes, thinking, where are the boys? Milkshake boys in the yard. There we go. Thank you. I'll be here all week. And then when the weight come off, that's literally the only thing that's changed from 330-pound Kevin to 200-pound Kevin.
What?
It's just the weight. Like I'm still the same
Yes.
person.
So
And
how did you handle losing all that weight? How did you do it? The right question is how
that's
did
why
you?
everyone's here. That's the right
Yes.
determination and willpower. I'm very. What's that? I'm looking for that word. Like,
No bariatric surgery.
oh no, sweetie, this is all natural. What?
Oh.
No, we don't have money. It was all natural. I'm very not strict. I'm disciplined with myself. That's what I was looking for. I'm very disciplined. I told myself once again, whenever I want to do something, I'll do it when I want to do it. I was finally ready, and I don't. The whole idea of, oh, you have to like pay for that, or you need surgery, or you can't do it. Like the cheesy phrase, anything is possible. Even the word itself, like the word impossible itself, says I'm possible. That's like a lifestyle mentality that I carry because if I want to do something, I'm going to do it regardless. Because you can physically do it. Obviously, i.e., look at me.
Yes.
So I was just like, I'm just going to have to put in the work.
And what did you started with the pandemic, or where did the pandemic? I know because a lot of people stayed home and for so many months, and we're still trying to get back out there. Um, did the pandemic help you focus on the new you?
Ironically, yeah, I want to say that my biggest issue juggling my life prior to the pandemic was that I couldn't juggle the social aspect. There's like three aspects of life that I'm always juggling. It's like financial, emotional, and social. And I'm always having social on the back burner. But with the pandemic having everyone in their houses, I was like, oh, I don't have to make plans because you can't make plans.
Of course.
Which just gave me ample time to literally just focus on my mental state and what was the other one? Financial. So I literally all I was doing was working and working out. Not having to worry about canceling or not making plans with people because they weren't supposed to. So I took that to my advantage. Literally anything. It first started off with just walking. For the first 6 months, all I did was just walk, and I drank nothing but water. So I cut everything else out. But if I wanted a bag of M&Ms, I was still eating a family-sized bag. I'm just kidding. I literally cut everything except water, liquid-wise, but I was still eating whatever I wanted to eat. So the weight was coming off slowly, and I was like, okay, I'm finding the tips and tricks and seeing what's working versus going full out. I was testing the waters. And then I started implementing doing workout plans this January, actually. And I followed an influencer who had a program, and I did 3 of her programs. And I was like, wait, I think I can do this myself. And then I curated my own little program that I did for 35 days to see if I can see results. And I actually finished it yesterday. And I was like, oh, wow, I should probably like keep doing this. And I find it fun. Like, I like setting myself a goal and not only trying to reach it, but I'll do it. So we're always setting high expectations when it comes to working out. My position at work or any task. If you're like, Kevin, can you go get me milk? I'm gonna go get you the best gallon of milk there is out there. Just because it's always high expectations.
Yeah. Yes. Well, that's wonderful. How many pounds did you put off?
130.
Wow, in the time frame.
Um, from the very first day where I was like, we're doing this to now, it's been a little over a year and a half.
Well, do you believe that that helped you mentally to accept yourself? Because this is the new Kevin, and this is the Kevin that you always wanted to be.
I'm working on that one actually, because I was talking to another influencer who also had a weight loss journey, and I was like, because I have issues like body dysmorphia is very much a thing, and I can't look at myself in the mirror for too long because then I physically I see myself grow. It's like it's weird. It's like trip. It's almost like you're tripping. I like physically see my boobs coming back and like my hips, and it's just like I gotta go. And he's like, you have to learn to love yourself,
Embracing.
the old body. I had asked him for like a tip, and he straight out came on and he was like, whenever you think of your old body, instead of hating it or being in disgust, you have to love it. But I never mentioned to him that I had that thought, and I was like, wait, this is literally not a coincidence. It's another message. And I was like, okay, I needed to hear this message specifically from this guy at this moment, because it was so simple. I'm pretty sure someone had told me it before, but for whatever the reason, when I heard it in that voice memo, it just clicked, and I was like, oh, okay. Um, so we're working on that.
Good for you.
Yeah, we're
Good.
always working.
Good for you. Did you have any regrets from what in the past, what you try to take your life away, or the depression, the anxiety?
If I can go back in time and do everything differently, I don't think I would. I'm trying to word this where it makes sense. Um, the choices that were given to me, scratch that, rewind. I would change once I turned 18 and started making my own decisions. That stuff that I had specific, like it was like, oh, I'm gonna do this versus that. I'd go back and change a couple of things. But as to like anything younger than that, it wouldn't have made a difference. I was just set up low key to fail. Um, I'm I I'm thankful that I came out the way I did from the experience. If I could somehow not do that again, if I could have like, if I can switch me out with someone else, if I can like switch positions with another child, I probably would. Like I really, when people ask me about my childhood, I'm just like, because it wasn't really fun. It really wasn't.
It wasn't fun.
No. I learned a lot. Now as an adult, looking back at it, there's a lot that I learned that I'm using as an adult now. But like, I didn't have a childhood that I would want to relive.
Okay. Were you abused by your
No,
parents or no?
which is crazy to say. I was an only child. Literally, my dad gave me everything I wanted. You know what it really is? It really just comes back to that relationship that I had with my mom. Like, I wouldn't wish that on anyone. And it's something that I hope if anyone else has like a negative relationship with like their parents, that they learn to be okay with it. Because I wasn't okay with it before. I think that's why I was like the way I was. Because now I'm like, it is what it is. I'm almost 30. I'm an adult. I can make my own decisions from now. Um, but to set up a child like that, I wouldn't want that for me.
I'm gonna ask you a question.
Mhm.
If you will have your mom in front of you right now, what would you say to her?
Absolutely nothing.
There's nothing you want to say to her?
No, everything that I had to say to her, I said it the first time when I thought we made up. Um, I thanked her. I said, I mean, she's very much like my Valley's episode. I'm not trying to paint this person out to be a villain. Because in the big picture, she's not a villain. She's just a villain in my movie. Like she's a great. If she wasn't my mom, if I hadn't met her as like someone else, I'd be like, oh, she's a Kiki, she's alive. I love that lady. Um, but the relationship we have, well, the relationship that we did have, um, it seems like it's one of those relationships God set in my path to like, you're gonna learn a lot from this relationship. You're not gonna like it, but you're gonna learn a lot from it.
Did she fail you?
I don't think she failed me. I think she was set up. It's almost like when you give someone a task that they don't want to do, and it's kind of like
Set up in what way?
her as a mom and me as a child. It wouldn't have worked. I mean, it probably works with my little sister, um, but the way I'm so headstrong, and I have this thing where if you're wrong, you're just wrong. Like with the whole mentality of respect your elders. If you're right, yeah, I'll respect you, but I'm gonna politely educate you if you're wrong, because it's not about an age thing. It's about like age is nothing but a number. So like, get that out of here. It goes back to like just generations. People have certain mindsets of like way of life, and it's like if we evolved from like those really thick television to this flat screen, you're gonna evolve too. So if I have an issue with what you're saying, you're gonna listen to me, Tony.
Mm-hmm.
Too. I'm
Well,
very evolved. That's what
and
it
that's
is.
good, you know.
A little too
So
much.
the new Kevin Jose today. Who is this guy? This 100 something pound less, good looking, handsome, very dynamic, very. Oh, wait, we're gonna keep
This
saying.
video's gonna come out, and I'm gonna crop it just to that clip,
Yeah.
and just post it. No context, just Kevin is. I'm gonna edit it so you'll see. Anyway, um, I want. I hope that the message in the Kevin that I'm representing is one that comes across as, oh, Kevin's like the guy you take home to your mom, but he's also like the type of guy that you can take to your dad, and he like meshes with this group. I kind of want to be the Mother Teresa of my community. That's kind of like ballsy to say. um I just want to make a difference. I want to die and people be like, Kevin, what's that? I don't want a single person to say a single mean thing about me. They might disagree with me, but they won't say that I was mean.
Okay.
They're that.
Okay. Well, to finalize this conversation, which has been very, and I'm glad that you're here today telling your story. What will you say to those out there who are going through what you went through? Being in the dark, thinking that I have no way out, that within that second you wanted to, suicidal thoughts, and you just wanted to take your life away. What will you tell them that are going through this?
It'll get better, first and foremost. Second of all, your feelings are valid. There's nothing worse than having your feelings invalidated. Um, and look for your family. Not like, when I use the word family, I don't mean like physical blood family, because I mean, you have your blood family, but you have your family, where people just get you. If you find your community of people that you mesh with, that'll definitely help you in the early stages, because it's hard to do it by yourself. I'm going to listen. I'm telling you right now, it's really hard to do it by yourself. Without Amanda, Kay, and Brian, and Bailey, I don't think I would have done it without them. You need to find the people that are going to pick you up, so then you can start walking on your own again. Whether it be Susie Lucci down the street, if it's your middle school gym teacher, if it's the 7-Eleven cashier guy.
But
Yeah.
it's gonna be okay.
Yeah. Literally, there's plenty of, the way that I make friends around the world. I made a friend with someone in Brazil the other day on Tinder friendship. We FaceTime today. I mean, we were just chatting. Now we're friends.
Right.
We just get it. There's people out there. You have to be okay with being vulnerable, because if you don't show your vulnerability, nobody's gonna know you're vulnerable. They're gonna be like, oh, that person's like always strong and on their own. Meanwhile, they're like crying themselves to sleep. Me. But yeah, you have to find someone that can start that for you. You need a jump start. That's what it is.
I'm sorry.
Put that on a t-shirt.
You want to add something else?
No.
Great.
It was great being here.
Well, thank you so much for being here with Por Eso and Just Because. Thank you for sharing your story.